Tabe has just released Arc 8 Chapter 53, and this video will be a summary of Chapter 51, 52, and 53. So feel free to check out my Arc 8 Chapter 50 summary. Anyways, let's begin. Through the strategy devised by Natsuki Subaru, to rescue the Valakian Empire from Destruction Squad had dispersed to various places in the Imperial capital. However, the most important role was the strength of those left in the city of Garkla. By attracting a mass of undead at Garkla, that would allow them to get into the royal capital and infiltrate it and of course kill Sphinx. The undead at Garkla tried to scale the ramparts, but Julius slashed them down. The undead were jamming their swords into the walls and using them as footholds. Julius, with the use of his spirits, unleashed a wind pulling the swords out of the walls. Tarita says they've gotten this close faster than they expected. The Shudrak were fighting the undead using bows and arrows. They were one of the cornerstones of this defense. Julius looks over the horizon. Thousands of zombies are on their way. In fact, they've already had to retreat once, already to the first line of ramparts. Tarita says that when fearsome undead appear, they have to quickly take them down. With that, both are interrupted. A woman undead with swords for arms is taking on the Pleiades squadron and scattering them about, knocking them to the side. However, they are unaffected, almost as if they're boosted by some strange power. Julius thinks about jumping down to help them, but it seems like Goz has arrived. Goz says that he's always wanted to fight the Empress of the Gladiator Arena. For those that don't know, this is referring to someone called Hornet, who Aldebaran and Arakia killed from memory. Goz and Hornet clash, and Julius thanks Flop for telling him not to jump down. Flop says it's his role. Flop explains that he's repairing stuff. After all, it's the only role he can do. Julius says they're doing good, but it can be overturned. For example, if there was a powerful dragon rider. In the past, there was one such person, and Julius had won, but he won with the help of Felix. Had Felix not been there, Julius would have lost. The chances of both the rider and the undead dragon reviving would be slim. But Julius saw it with his own eyes. Should balleroy appear over the city of Garkla, then the tide of battle would surely change. Flop says to not worry, since balleroy will know that Flop and Medium are in Garkla, so he wouldn't come to lay waste to the city. Julius says that when resurrected, the people are manipulated to attack Valakia and the living. But Flop also agrees, saying that some parts stay the same, but some parts are not changed. Julius is confused, but Flop states that the fighting style of the undead are the same, or else they would be useless, meaning that balleroy is someone who would arrive to a battlefield, set up camp, and then essentially shoot you down when you appear. Because the city of Garkla is already being defended, balleroy can't enter the battlefield, which means he won't ever show up. The scene changes. Balleroy did not like letting his men die in vain. This wasn't due to him being a philanthropist, but due to what was imparted onto him. He was taken in whilst young, and his talents were allowed to develop. This was due to Selena Dracoi. The second person he respected was Miles, who taught balleroy to deal through many different situations. This is why during the rebellion he did not take any allies with him, so he alone would die. After all, he didn't like his men dying in vain. Balleroy calls out to Carillion, who is near him. Nearby, Madeline is of course unconscious, taking control of Mesioria. Balleroy is shocked that there are people who can confront Mesioria head on. Balleroy then jumps onto Carillion on the balcony of the building, and then he looked at the horizon. Sphinx's words echoed in his mind. Spinks saying that she is starting to understand emotion and understands why Balleroy needs to stay in the Imperial capital. After all, if Balleroy went to the city of Garkla, he wouldn't be able to act at his full capacity. In addition, he's also expected to keep Madeline as an ally and keep Mesioria on their side. Plus, there was also something else. Balleroy mutters that Vincent would surely come. It was normal for the Emperor in a time of crisis to move around. It was sure that Vincent would come to the Imperial capital, of course to destroy Spinks with the Yang-Sword Valakia. Balleroy mutters that he has been completely fooled by Chisha Gold. After all, Balleroy's initial surprise attack killed Chisha and not Vincent. Next time he would kill Vincent, and then after that they would head north to Lagunica. Carillion cried out, and flaming balls of fire appeared above the royal capital. They appeared from above the clouds. Balleroy used his magic bullets and pierced all 13 fireballs. We see whoever launched the attacks did so from very far away. Bending beams of light into a scope, he observed where the attack came from. Even from several kilometers away, Balleroy could hit a moving target. Balleroy observes the person throwing the attacks. Balleroy then utters the word Medi, of course referring to medium by the way, and he sees a woman being held in the arms of a man. The woman looks at him. Even though he is thousands of meters away, she surely cannot see him. Yet she says, "Come and talk to me properly, Balla bro." Thank you for Witchcult Translations for this translation. I got the summary from their chapter. Anyways, let's move to chapter 52, Medium O'Connell. So this is a named chapter. A poor operation, Selena Dracoy mutters as she overlooks the battlefield. Everyone knows that controlling the skies is important. The Shadrak were also tasked with shooting down undead dragons. Selena says that if she was the enemy commander, she would have done a better job. Otto tells her to not sound scary. Despite Otto's appearance, he has a strong character, and Selena Dracoy respects him. Otto says that when Selena respects him, he feels like it's a character flaw. And Selena says, is it because she has a scar on her face? And Otto says that looks does not matter. It depends if you can have a conversation with the person. But Otto says that Selena is beautiful regardless. Anastasia asks them what they're talking about with a disgusted look on her face. In the middle of their conversation like this, battle orders are shouted left and right, and messages are relayed. Selena looks at the sky again, stating, "You didn't come, Balleroy." That's one of her regrets. The battle has started, meaning that the magic bullet shooter was not on this battlefield. If he had appeared, Selena's heart would have been shot a long time ago. Selena never saw Balleroy as an undead. After all, he was in the Crystal Palace, and then he was spotted at the dragon carriages. Both times, Selena did not see him. He should hate her, in fact. That's the reason why Miles died. And that's the reason why she stood at the window, prepared to be killed. Selena's idea is that it's easier to make herself the target if she stands at the window instead of her subordinates. However, it's suggested that maybe she should decide on not getting shot as being the better alternative. Selena says should the battlefield turn sour, she will deploy her forces, the Flying Dragons. Selena, however, says it's strange that the enemy's flying dragons haven't really been spotted. However, at that moment, a messenger appears, stating that a pack of enemy flying dragons appeared and dropped undead into the city of Garkla. With that, the scene changes. Medium O'Connell has the divine blessing of uplifting. By the way, I'm making this name up, I don't know what the actual name is. The more upbeat Medium is, the stronger her abilities become. She herself is unaware of her own blessing, as is her brother Flop. This is the reason why Medium feels stronger when people trust in her and rely on her like her brother. However, should one's mood fall, then her abilities would also be reversed. It was a double-edged sword. Medium had 3 heartbreaks in her life. The first was when Miles died. The second was when balleroy died. And the third was when balleroy was resurrected as a zombie. The first and second heartbreaks caused Medium to cry for days. The third heartbreak, Medium did not have time to cry. Would Medium go into battle with a swollen face and dented heart? Of course not. Medium stopped crying. The third heartbreak ripped her heart out. Medium regretted that she didn't do more to stick to her family, and because she left a gap, balleroy tried to kill Vincent and was killed. Flop was the one who told Medium to go to the capital to face balleroy. After all, balleroy hadn't changed. Balleroy would stay in the capital and would wait for Vincent to appear and then kill Vincent, meaning Medium would have to go to the capital to face balleroy. The scene changed. And so Medium was qualified to take part in the battle and was given the go-ahead by Vincent Valacchia. A strange sequence of events started since Medium met Subaru, Rem and Speaker at the city of Guaral. Medium thanks Subaru for being there and meeting her back at the city of Guaral. We see that Subaru is surprised that Medium thanked him. Subaru, however, thanks Medium and Flop, saying he doesn't know what would have happened if they weren't there. And with that, the scene changes back to the present time. Medium thanks Roswaal. Her hair blows in the sky, and Roswaal smiles at Medium. He is Subaru and Emilia's companion, and he will help Medium. Roswaal says that their enemy is a formidable opponent, and that he needs as many cards as possible in his hand to win. But Medium says that she isn't a card, but a woman. And Roswaal says that Medium is a Emilia type. By the way, fun fact, of course he's just calling her dumb. Medium thinks that Roswaal is saying that she is light, despite being tall, as in she's not heavy to carry. This is the first time she has flown in the arms of someone. However, flying is the same regardless if you're on a dragon or in someone's hand. You need to trust the person you're flying with. Roswaal says that he wishes he could tell Otto and Petra about Medium's guts, and Medium asks Roswaal to get to know them better, and Roswaal says that that statement hurt his ears. Medium realizes that Roswaal is very similar to Abel, someone who covers up their feelings and emotions. Medium says that he will regret it if he does that, and she will set an example for both Roswaal and Abel. To the east, Mesioria appeared, an existence that makes the world tremble. As agreed, Garfiel will fight the dragon. Roswaal says not to worry. He is the most powerful wizard in the world. Roswaal then sent flames above to the sky towards the royal palace. At the same time, Roswaal was flying, almost as if he was painting with his right hand and composing music with his left hand, singing poetry with his mouth, whilst deciphering unknown languages with his eyes and brain. This was essentially what Roswaal was doing by casting multiple magics at the same time. The size of a pea, a rider far away destroyed the balls of fire. This was someone that Medium wanted to talk to touch. The more excited Medium felt, the more her blessing activated. She was in front of the person that she wanted to meet for ages, so her blessing was at the maximum ability. Medium tells balleroy to come to her and speak to her. A moment later, a beam of light hits them, but it's blocked by Medium. And so the fiercest battle in the history of the Empire, separated at a great distance, had begun. And with that, the chapter ends and we move to chapter 53. The Magic Bullet Shooter. Roswaal was the strongest wizard in the world. If you asked him this, he would smile and confirm it. In the present day, he was the strongest magic user. When he talked about it, he has a sense of longing, desolation, and deep love. This is only known to those such as Ram and Beatrice. Even he is unaware of it. By the way, I think when he talks about the present day, he's also talking about like the past, because he's like 400 years old, and so he has deep longing for the past. Roswaal with medium confronts balleroy. From this far, even Roswaal has trouble seeing the enemy. It's not a question of eyesight. The human eye is simple, and it's not made that way to see that far. However, there was an exception, such as medium in his arms, who can somehow see balleroy, and balleroy who can see them. Of course, medium can see balleroy because of her divine blessing, which is boosting her physical abilities. Medium lets out a shout and swings a barbarian sword, cutting the bullet of light. The light bullets fired are assumed to be a type of yang magic. But unlike Jewald, which emits heat rays of light, shooting bullets of light is an original type of move. The light is probably shaped like an icicle, similar to Emilia's attacks, which pierce the opponent's vital spots. However, the light is formless, rather than using a solid object like earth or ice. That makes it harder for others to discover the nature of attack. Roswaal sees it and says it's a very good magic. If balleroy created it on his own, he would have the talent to be a first-class wizard. However, he probably doesn't want such honours now, plus he would have had the title of a 9 Divine General. Roswaal mutters that he is shocked that Julius was the one who defeated the 9 Divine General. Roswaal remembers Julius's words, but makes sure Medium cannot hear him so she can concentrate. By the way, fun fact, because Medium's abilities are boosted here, I would bet you money she does actually hear that Roswaal mentioned that Julius killed balleroy. The finest knight of Anastasia is a very useful person. He gave a lot of information regarding balleroy. Regardless of what happened though, Roswaal always would have fought balleroy. There's a reason for this, a strategic one. Wallachia and Lagunica are enemies. There was a non-aggression pact between Wallachia and Lagunica, but it did not fix the cold relationship between the countries. Countermeasures were always built to fight Wallachia, their 9 divine generals and their flying dragons. Naturally, magic users would fight against the flying dragon riders, and Roswaal, the pinnacle of magic, would fight balleroy. While someone like Reinhard is second to none in strength, military strategy matters, so someone like the magical bullet shooter is a big threat. Roswaal heard he lost his life in a rebellion, so it amounted to nothing. However, seeing balleroy's skills, Roswaal knew he couldn't win alone. This wasn't about the inferiority of magic or martial arts, it was about the battlefield. Firstly, mobility is different. Roswaal can fly, however his flight isn't as fluid as a flying dragon in a head-to-head battle. He would probably get disoriented. Balleroy also specializes in killing the target. He has mastered one skill to a high degree. Roswaal has mastered many magics, but not to the depth of balleroy's killing attack. The thing is distance. Wizards usually have a range advantage, but what if the enemy outranges you and is faster than you? You have to close the distance, but obviously this wouldn't be possible if balleroy is faster than Roswaal. Roswaal wouldn't say he's a better fighter than someone like Obart or Halibel regardless, but he does have the greatest range, so he would have to fight balleroy. Emilia is similar, but she lacks flight, and so therefore the buck falls to Roswaal. Roswaal caught balleroy's attention, so that way balleroy wouldn't focus on other people like Subaru. Roswaal states he needs to close the distance, and Medium slashes and cuts another bullet of light. Roswaal smiles seeing this and asks if Medium can do it, and she says she can, and says that balleroy is aiming at her arms. The scene changed. Balleroy bit his teeth. Through his sculpted lens that refracted light, He can see medium with a man. They were closing in on him. Their aim was clear, to close the distance. The first 2 bullets were blocked by medium. Medium could beat Flop and Miles in races, but never did he think she could stop his magical bullets. Balleroy talks to Carillion, saying, "I know." We see Balleroy and Carillion are connected soul to soul, so they can transmit emotions and senses to each other. It was not only medium skill, but her face made Balleroy lack ruthlessness. This was the reason why he aimed at her limbs. Hitting one would incapacitate medium, meaning that the wizard would have to release her, and then of course he could ask Sphinx to spare her life. Balleroy regains his will to fight. His magical bullets consume little mana and have the maximum destructive power. When Balleroy looks through his spyglass, his attention is diverted, but through Carillion he still has his peripheral vision. He is surprised that flight magic exists, but the speed of it lacks that of the flying dragon. A flash of light, less than a second, medium blocks the attack. Medium knows he's aiming for her limbs. Is this due to instinct? He does not know. 5 shots are fired in quick succession. Magic bullets have no recoil. The only thing that limits him is the speed that he can create the bullets. So he fired 5 bullets in 1 second. Medium continues to defend. However, something was weird. Medium challenged him to a fight alongside the wizard, yet this was their strategy? Surely there should be some sort of strategy or plan. Carillion makes a sound. We see as roswaal gets closer to Balleroy that Balleroy is running away, so they're always going to keep a maximum distance apart. Balleroy looks up to the sky and sees a mountain of ice fall from the sky onto the sea. The scene changes. If you fight Balleroy, you need a shield. Of course, in the sky, there is no shield. The usual practice is to prepare for the most unfavorable battle conditions for your opponent. This is the reason why, despite being abnormal, roswaal would not enter a battle if he had no chance of winning. Steam rises from Medium's body. Medium's hands are red. She is going beyond her limits. She slashed at 50 bullets in total now. Roswaal breaks a deadlock. Ice falls through the clouds. A mass so powerful, it could be mistaken for a mountain. However, this ice block wasn't created by roswaal, or else he would have been out of mana. It was made by Emilia, who has a lot of mana. Emilia created the ice block and kept it floating until the right time. This was done on Subaru's request. If there was no shield, he would simply create one. However, the iceberg was shattered and chunks flew to the floor. So as the ice block is falling down and lands on the city, Balleroy shoots it and shatters it, but there's so many ice shards falling down, it creates like a rain of ice. Medium then slashes another light bullet. The scene changes. Balleroy accepts the tactic. Medium was a shield. In Wallachia, wizards are very valuable. This is because the soil and the races lack the handling of magic and mana. And magic doesn't fit the principles of the Imperial way. However, Imperials respect the strong, but those like Balleroy and Obart are less respected for their styles of fighting. It would take time under Vincent's rule for any prejudice to be erased. And Balleroy doesn't like the wizard's tactics. We see that they're playing a game of hide and seek. Roswaal will hide in a fortress or trees, and Balleroy will blow it up, and then Roswaal will fly around the chunks of falling ice and repeat the process. Apart from them two, no one else can challenge him in the air. A good dragon rider will always win, that is the rule. So against Balleroy, even if he was against 100 dragon riders, he would still win. With all of the ice falling, Roswaal and Medium close the distance. The closer they are, the less time Medium has to react. There are signs of something in the sky above. more falling debris. Balleroy understands the plan. This was an attack on the royal palace. They aimed to kill everyone in the palace, including Madeline, who was unconscious. Balleroy climbs up and he unleashes a rain of magical bullets that he couldn't have released when he was alive, shooting down every ice block and fireball which was aimed at the royal palace. However, Balleroy knew that he was open at this moment, so he fired a magical bullet backwards at his enemy. However, Medium blocked it with her swords. Balleroy tells Medium he's a 9 divine general. He sees Medium blocked his latest magical bullet with 2 swords. However, as a result, she dropped her swords. Balleroy then increases the distance, but then the sky is covered in a rainbow color. This was advice from Julius. Roswaal remembers his conversation where Julius had read Balleroy's Book of the Dead, but he refused to tell anyone what he saw unless Balleroy gave him permission. Regardless, Julius gave important information. After all, if it was Julius who killed you, maybe you don't even know how you died. After all, Julius's name was eaten, which means that no one remembers him except for Subaru and even Balleroy, meaning that you could potentially kill Balleroy with the same technique that you used to kill him before. A rainbow barrier prevented the flight of Balleroy. It was key in defeating him. This was an original magic Julius had with his spirits. Roswaal had to use a lot of mana to recreate it. Roswaal used 6 types of magic at once. What was needed was a magic which would disorientate Balleroy. Roswaal banked on Balleroy's forgetting of the rainbow light. After all, the rainbow light was connected to Julius, and Julius's name was eaten, which means that Balleroy should forget it due to the effects of gluttony. We see that Medium swords were lost after blocking the latest magical bullet with her swords, so she could probably block another 2 bullets with her hands, of course losing her hands whilst blocking the bullets. The rainbow heralded the end. However, we see that Roswaal is then hit from behind and his consciousness fades. The scene changes. The rainbow light causes Balleroy's survival instincts to activate despite being dead. As Roswaal surmised, Balleroy doesn't even remember about his death. He had spoken to the other undead. No one had forgotten about how they died. He wonders what type of battle killed him. Losing flight and having an escape route cut off was not on his list of candidates. However, when he rescued Lamia, he saw a rainbow shield that blocked his magical bullet, so he had a really bad feeling. So he always makes sure to have a reserve magical bullet just in case. And he used it to break the rainbow barrier at that moment. Kerillian pierces through the rainbow barrier and he's wounded, but because he's undead, his body just simply heals. Balleroy then shoots a bullet at an angle which ricochets and hits Roswaal in the back. Now that Medium was close by, Balleroy could simply rescue Medium before Roswaal and Medium fell to their deaths. Medium calls out to Roswaal, and Roswaal throws Medium down to the ground. Medium picks up speed. At the last moment, Balleroy understood the devil's thoughts. Him and Roswaal looked at each other, eye to eye. Balleroy thinks that the man has an angry look to his face, but the man, blood dripping from his mouth, simply smiled. Balleroy charges down to Medium before she falls to the ground and is shredded by the falling pieces of ice. He can only make one choice, one magic bullet. Who will he shoot it at? Will he shoot it at the debris so Medium will survive? Or will he shoot it at the wizard? Balleroy didn't like the deaths of his people. Balleroy fired a magical bullet, piercing every single piece of ice debris that could have killed Medium. And at that moment, Roswaal states that the reason he lost is because he blurred something other than what's important to him. At the same time, Roswaal's magical bullet pierced Balleroy's chest, and Carillion's wings, bringing this match in the sky to a conclusion. And with that, the chapter ends. So sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to rush this out. I know I've mispronounced so many things, but I need to go to bed. Anyways, interesting chapter. So Balleroy again stayed true to himself. He saved Medium, but as a result, roswaal hit him with a magical bullet and incapacitated him. So interesting fight. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. And don't worry, next time I'll be on time.